Dad. Well, we're all here now. Oh,
yes,
look
we
at
are.
You. Hopefully someone
I was going to be in the show right away.
I know. I didn't think so either, but that's okay. I just now I'm all
Flustered.
I got the vapors apparently. You know, it's like I took an edible like 10 minutes ago and it just kicked in and the whole thing is sideways. Jeff, you let me know if people, there we are. Gavin's like, wow, whoa, Rich made it. Thank God. And, you know, we're doing things a little differently today because LinkedIn decided to pork us this afternoon, which I know has been coming for a long time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, today we're going to be talking about visibility without the costume. We're going to be talking about how everybody wants to be more visible. Most people don't want the feeling, though, that comes with it. And we're going to talk about what happens when the executive expertise becomes a synchronized searchable presence and what breaks in your head right before you hit post on that thing you wrote a moment ago. So as you can see here, we've got a lovely and talented guest. Her name is Melanie Borden. She's the founder of the Borden Group. She's a brand and AI visibility strategy leader who helps executives transform expertise into synchronized searchable presence, translating leadership credibility into measurable growth. She's a GTM advisor, a speaker, a ma. She's the author of a great new book that I've read. I'm on my second pass now because I do like to absorb these things. And she's been a great supporter of ours and a good friend. The book is called Theater of the Mind, by the way, and that's theatre, if you will. And it's a really tight look at visibility and reinvention for modern leaders. Please welcome to the stage already, Ms. Melanie Borden.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
So what the hell happened, everybody? And Scott says it's all good. If Scott says it's all good, then it's all fucking good.
It must be all good.
I love when that happens. Yeah. So thanks for coming on with us today. Where are you?
So today I am actually in Sugarbush in Warren, Vermont. I spent the morning snowboarding, which was a lot of fun.
Nice. Yes, you did some snowboarding. And you were saying earlier, before we started the show and then restarted the show, that it's been what about 20 years since your last snowboarding excursion?
Yes. I went to school in New York City, and I just remember coming home the first year and wanting to go snowboard. And all my friends, everyone had different schedules and everything kind of just fell apart. And living in New York, my new crowd of friends that I had, no one snowboarded, and I just stopped snowboarding. And I will tell you, sidebar, I broke my wrist several times snowboarding. And so every time I got the urge to want to go again, I stopped myself. I was too afraid. And I just recently, I would have dreams for the last, I don't know how many years. I've been having dreams for over 20 years about snowboarding. And I finally just decided to do it. And yesterday was my first time out. I did like 25 runs. Nice. I started with a lesson, which was really helpful to get myself reacclimated with the sport. And it's like 2003 is here. And I mean, I basically have the muscle memory from when I was 19 years old. And it was just boom.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So was it kind of like, all right, snowboarders, listen up. Gears on. Listen up.
The question is the recovery period longer than when you were 19 years old?
Well, I was very nervous about that because I remember always the first day of the season being very sore. And what's interesting is I'm actually training for a marathon in April. Oh. And I felt fine when I woke up. which was amazing.
Awesome.
And I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. Like, yay. I thought I was going to be like moving and hurting, and I wasn't none of that. So,
Well, that's great.
Nice. Well, we've got a couple of other guests or folks and guests from the past here, Scott.
Are you still there?
I'm here
Oh my God. No, we'll just keep going.
meditating right now.
I think I was wondering if you were frozen and it was me. You know how that happens.
This is just what happens when you're live. Things happen.
Exactly.
This is what happens. It always
Exactly. Oh,
he's
well,
loading.
I'm going to give him just a moment just so we can get back in here. But
There must be like a full moon or something.
it has to be. It has to be a full moon.
Overload. Everyone is using too much technology right now.
Yeah. I mean I guess that is true, right? Because it's but it's so cool when it works.
Yes, it is. Well, you know, it's interesting because that's what I was thinking about today. Because thinking about 2003 and now it's 2026.
Yes.
Thinking about how different it is between 2003 and now.
That
and
whole
just,
pandemic thing changed a lot of things too, right?
I know, but even just being like an adult, like yesterday, I did a little après ski and just thinking about that, I'm like, this is amazing. Like I can drink wine after I go snowboarding.
I know, that's cool.
Very exciting.
Right. I mean, not that you couldn't drink it before, but right?
Right. Well, that's true. I just wasn't.
So maybe I'll just go into the some of the questions here, because I think Peter he might pop in at any moment, but that's fine. So I'm not going to read the ones that he put in that are weird. I'm going to leave those there for him.
Okay.
Right? So, like in terms of like who's directing most, execs perfectionism. What is it that's directing them? Is it perfectionism? Is it fear, ego, invisible audience? What's like the driver?
That's such a good question. And thinking about, 2003 to now is a good segue too, because I think that anybody who has a 19 in their birth year, like we do, a lot of times we don't always naturally do things with digital. I mean, of course, we work in marketing, and these are things that we do. Hi, Peter. But it's not a natural thing. So I think a lot of times, I mean, for marketers, it's a lot more natural for us because we are in the trenches and we're doing the work and we're focusing our work around all these different algorithms and platforms. But for someone who isn't in marketing, and even for someone who has a marketing team, it's something that it's very different to market a product or to market a company than to put yourself out there and say, I am this successful person. I have achieved this. A lot of people kind of hold themselves back, or they don't know what to say because they don't want to come off a certain way. So a lot of times it's just paralysis by analysis comes up. Other times people are afraid of saying the wrong thing. They're setting someone maybe on their team, maybe someone that's their equal, maybe a board member, or maybe they're they have a startup and they're hoping to get funding and they're afraid of saying something that it could impact the meeting that they're going to be having with a VC in 2 weeks, and they don't know if they say this that it's going to affect that. And so I think a lot of it comes down to like perfectionism, definitely. A lot of times I see that just people aren't naturally good at promoting themselves because they might visualize themselves as someone totally different than who they project themselves as in their career. And I use myself as an example because a lot of people who don't know me, unless they get to know me, and I'm starting to do more of it, like I talk about the fact that I have tattoos now. I'm talking about reincorporating like snowboarding in my life. I love to paddleboard. I'm a very big outdoors person. And I've definitely kept things separate with that, where I'll post more about that on Instagram versus LinkedIn. But I'm posting more and more about it because I want people to want to work with me who say, wow, she's interesting. She does other things other than talk about personal brands. She can do other things in strategy.
Yes.
You
No,
know?
I totally, I totally
And
get
I
that.
love that. That's like the
Yeah.
ands, and thank you. I'm welcoming myself back. The ands, I think the and
Oh no.
side.
Oh, he's still there.
You're
Am
still
I still
there.
here?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
still there.
The ands are interesting. I like to garden. I
Mm.
like to write. I like to drink wine. I like to read. You know, I like to play guitar. But
Mm.
that's the kind of stuff that makes what. And you have your ands, right? And we've been.
Uh-oh.
I'm not trying to laugh.
I know. I'm not trying either.
Very Jersey right now.
It's a nervous laugh, is what it is. Oh boy, he's out. He's out now.
No.
That's okay. You know,
No,
I was just having a conversation too yesterday about you know, sometimes anxiety is a tool that people use in terms of energy. Sometimes people who are anxious, they hide in the corner in the fetal position, and then other people, it's a fire under their butt that constantly moves them with adrenaline and quick thinking and problem solving. It's funny how that same kind of condition can affect people differently.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think that a lot of times when people think of visibility, a lot of times specifically with social, I mean, I think of LinkedIn as being social media.
Mm.
So when you think of LinkedIn, if you think of Instagram, if you think of TikTok, people think that they have to be, you know, seen doing something impressive, but it's really just being real. And it's also not necessarily putting on the performance for the algorithm, because a lot of times, and I've been guilty of it too. I mean, you create content in a certain way because you want to get the visibility to your right audience. You want people to see it. But then at what end? And I talk about that in the book, because at what point are you just everyone else and you're just blending in? So how do you differentiate yourself in a crowded space? You talk about the things that you're passionate about. You be a human. I mean, that's the biggest differentiator that someone can have in the world now, in the AI world, is being a real person and talking about real things, that not everybody has the same experiences that we have from being in that meeting 20 years ago or 15 years ago, or the lesson that you learned, you know, in 2003 that you've brought forward to 2026.
No, that is exactly right. And I see it, especially with AI now. I see it a lot in terms of, I get it, you know, the content, getting the content out there is important, but I always think of a, you know, an 80-20 rule. Like, so the 20 for me is like these personal, funny, you know, kind of content that I put out there. And then the 80% is stuff that about the things that I do professionally, or, you know, like at least some advice to people, and keeping a balance of that. Right. But yeah, so just moving on to like, so how do you keep a message consistent, like across different platforms like LinkedIn and podcasts and panels? Like, how do you, you know, keep it clear in the soup of what everybody's seeing, so that, yes, there are different platforms that require sort of slightly different content, right? Because you even mentioned, like, you used to just post personal things on Instagram, let's say, and not on LinkedIn. But how is it that the message still continues even with different content?
Well, that's another good question. And the other thing you want to think about too is, now when AI is doing research on a specific topic, they're not just looking in one place, they're looking everywhere to see if you have that same message synchronized. You know, the synchronized messaging essentially just means having that message in more than one place. And when it comes to a team, having multiple people having that in more than one place. And what I'll tell you is that when it comes down to it, what I find is that people a lot of times think that, thought leadership as an example. Well, I have posts on LinkedIn. Well, that's great. It's good to have your content on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, after Reddit, is the number 2 place that all of these large language models are looking at now. That's just some new data from January. And, by this month, I'm sure it's going to shift again, but making sure that your message is seen and that you're updating in all those different places and then it stays relevant. I mean, that's what each platform also is looking at what you're doing, as an example for LinkedIn, other than the ability to stream live, which they should have the capability like Meta does to just go live. They don't, but specific keywords on your profile, updating your headline, updating your about section. LinkedIn's internal algorithm is looking at all these different places to determine if you're relevant or not, and if you're active or not, or using the platform. So it's so much. And I see that so many people get so overwhelmed when it comes to having that message in multiple places. But the one thing that I see the most of, that I'm seeing the most of right now, I should say, because everyone is very focused on those large language models and how they're appearing and are you coming up and what is it saying, is there is really not from what I'm seeing from the companies that I've been working with initially when they engage me, when I'm looking at their company pages, they don't really have much about the individuals who are working at their company. And that's a really big win.
Yes. And it's amazing to me still, the websites that I go to, and I have no idea who the people are behind a business. It's as though, I'm expecting to see some faces, at least founders or whatever, but I want to see who the people are that are behind this thing. I want to, it doesn't matter what their position is. I want to see like that these are real people behind this product. And I think, even more so now with AI, I think it's even more important, for obvious reasons, right? Because a lot of things are just spun up as, well, I'll just have AI do it, but it's not. You can't have everything AI done. There's a human element that has to kind of filter through that.
Right. And the research is also showing that people are now using bots to be a mediator, third party for their feeds, as an example. They don't necessarily want to see everything. They want it to be curated specifically. So you can use AI for everything, but it's just going to be filtered and watered down, and you're just going to appear like everybody else. That's why when anyone ever talks to me, what's the best way to leverage AI in your personal brand is you incorporate those stories that make you you and make you who you are in your industry, in your space, that no one else has. AI can't do that. I'm sure you could probably get it to make up a story, but it's not something that is real.
No, I know. And that's the thing about AI too, is that, and I tend to do stuff that's sort of like almost, I'm trying to be funny. So I try to put a funny spin, and, AI will give you the information, right? But it won't make a correlation between a kangaroo and best practices on an e-commerce site. Like, it will never come up with that concept initially, right? Because that's something only a human can do right now. Now, what do those two things have in common? Who knows? But that's the point. The point is that there's a creative thing that has to be done in the beginning of it, for it to come out, with any kind of sense whatsoever. I did. Oh, actually, Robert was in there, but I was going to bring him in, but I guess he popped out. He is at the show. If anybody's wondering where he is, I saw him.
Where did Peter go?
And Peter's gone too. So we're gonna have to just keep moving forward. So yeah, just getting into sort of like more of the operations and scaling type of things. When you're advising, at the GTM level, where does visibility plug in top funnel, hiring, partnerships, credibility, all of that stuff?
That's a really good question. So generally, and again, it depends on the company, it depends on the engagement, it depends on what their goals are. But a lot of times it moves through everything. And so the way that I frame it when I'm working with a client is we're building this, think it as our own machine and its own classification within the go-to-market strategy. So it's hard sometimes for growth teams to wrap their heads around, I don't want to use traditional KPIs. We do, but there's a lot of KPIs that come through with what I've seen just with clients where it doesn't appear in a dashboard. It doesn't show up there. You know, for example, I always say that when you launch a product, or if you're planning to go to market as a team, or if you're synchronizing messaging across 5 or 7 people, many different factors and elements and things happen when this is happening. In addition to every other piece of marketing where you have things running as well. And that's why I say it's kind of, it's top, it's middle. I mean, I look at the funnel a little differently when it comes to this, because I don't think in the traditional sense, it's easy to classify. Because what will happen is sometimes when you decide to go to market and, you know, as a team, as an example, and LinkedIn is one of the channels that you're focusing on, people will reach out to you if they're ready today. Right. And they'll say, hey, I love what you're doing. This is really great timing. Let's have a conversation.
Right.
That's essentially the bottom of the funnel. And then you would have someone who reaches out in 2 years and says, I remember you were doing this thing. I saw this.
Yes.
Have a conversation. And then you would classify them as, you know, being at the top of the funnel at the time. So it really just depends on what you set up internally as those benchmarks of what the KPIs look like. But I think that it's flipped a little on its head, you know, in the traditional advertising or marketing sense, where you kind of find them at any stage of their journey, because you have people that are going to impact what you're doing, and you might not even realize that it's happening because it's not showing up in the dashboard. Right.
No, definitely. I see Robert in there. I'm going to let him in because he's at a trade show, and I know he's probably busy. But sorry, Robert, we don't have your video intro. I'll explain later. Hey, Robert.
Hey, how you doing,
How you doing?
Hi, Melanie. How you doing?
So where are you in the show right now? Whereabouts? Oh, Melting Forest. Okay. I see. Wow. Place is packed.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is crazy. That's a good way to say it.
Yes.
But it's organized crazy. It only gets as crazy as you let it.
Right.
You know, we know how to do trade shows. How you doing, Melanie? Nice to meet you.
I'm good. How are you? Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. Did they even tell you I'm coming in a little? Did they tell you that I come in? Yeah, you did.
They told me nothing. I know nothing about you.
Are you there?
Where is Mustafa?
Oh, he's
I just got a card from a guy who I know very well in Michigan. Bit of a scoundrel distributor, so that's the way it is. Anyway, so yeah. So you know nothing. You weren't informed about me dropping in, Melanie, at all?
No.
I was just kidding. I heard about you, yes.
Okay, good. Because I missed what we call the pre-huddle show, the pre-huddle before the show, which is usually... it's what was that guy's name? Jason and Will, right? That's a Jason Will move, right, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did that.
Anyway, if Will is not listening, which he isn't, yeah, he should get back to us because we haven't heard from him, and he's apparently here. They just launched IQ Bytes.
I did. I saw him with Mark.
Mark who?
You know, the Mark's Chip guy.
Oh, that may be why he's not calling back. That Mark's Chip guy.
Maybe.
Anyway, so Melanie, while I was listening, I took a look at your site so I could at least know what you do, and listening a little bit. Yeah, very important because most of us trying to do 6 roles at once definitely need that help with our social media engagement, correlating that to sales, and organizing the way that we appear. And I think that's what I got. Did I get the right read from looking at your website real quick and listening?
Yeah, that sounds close.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some of the clients that you would call your favorite?
I don't have favorite clients.
Oh,
Ooh,
They're
okay.
all my favorites.
They're all my favorites.
They're all my
Okay.
favorites.
Who's your longest tenured client? Not who, but like what type of business do they do? If it's
Yeah.
not appropriate to go detailed.
Okay, so the longest client that I have works in tech. They're in the technology space.
Ooh.
And they have a proprietary. I mean, I'm being super vague because I don't usually share client information unless they ask, if they give me permission to.
Right.
Makes
right.
sense.
That's
They're
fair.
in tech.
Yeah.
Been with me for 4 years. Most of my clients stay with me about 24 months. That's usually the churn rate is about 24 months.
Oh wow. Okay.
And give me a little insight into that. Is that because you finish, you sort of do the job, and then they can move on to the whatever you are helping them prepare for?
Yeah, sometimes it's because we've worked on a specific project together. We have certain KPIs and benchmarks that we're working on. Sometimes someone brings me in just specifically to help them launch something, whether they're going to market for a new product or they are looking to leave their role and go do something new. It depends on the company. It depends on the person I'm working with. It depends on if there's a team and there's a team dynamic. And I mean, there's a lot of different.
One of my favorite words, the team dynamic.
The team
I
dynamic.
always correlate business objectives to a baseball team. You need a pitcher. You need a first baseman. You need speed guys in the middle, infield, and outfield. You need a catcher that's going to give therapy to the pitchers, and you just need a coach and a manager. So that team word always gets me going. It's one of my favorite words, and that's good to hear. What I do is I bring products into Canada, brands. That's one business that I'm in. Another business that I'm in is the one that my sons run. My son, Harrison, runs a ticketing business with a sponsorship component. So he does the same rate that Ticketmaster charges or any other ticket provider. Hey, Peter! And
I heard everything you said about me.
well, I'm glad. Did you call the lawyer yet?
She's right outside the office.
I thought she was coming here down to Expo Hall E.
She is. She's headed to Logan right now, and she's got a briefcase full of papers.
I love it. Okay, I'll call my lawyer to stop that flight. Anyway, so as you can see, Melanie, we have some experience in throwing the ball back and forth pretty good. So, but that tech company is rather interesting because what Harris is doing is incorporating a sponsorship component to offset some of the ticket surcharges. And we all know surcharges on ticketing are being discussed in Congress again as Ticketmaster is being dragged through the yeah. But anyway, about the brands and about what brings Peter, Jeff, and I together every week is we bring brands like the one I'm behind me right now, Melting Forest, and we bring that into Canada, and I also help with a little bit of upper Midwest out of Michigan, and that's why we're here at the show. And it was almost like, where's Peter? Where's Peter? And sometimes we have technical difficulties, and but that's the story over here. And
Nice.
That intro that he said we're missing is usually what's going on with Robert Kogan. And
That's right.
It's been a very busy couple days, obviously, traveling to the show and working the show in the usual Melting Forest, what we call just a rainbow of color and action. There's Sean and there's Dave, there's Janine, there's Sean's mother, Sean's wife. We have some CA Fortune help here as well. They only have about 120 people here in Anaheim at the show. And things are going great.
Awesome.
So how are things?
Awesome.
Yeah, what's going on with the Peter Jeff program? And then
Well, we've got Melanie on.
Melanie's. Yeah, I know. Well, so I'd rather focus on Melanie's. I was trying to do my usual, Peter, and get a little insight into how Melanie works. What I found most interesting, what you said, Melanie, is that 2-year thing. You know what I mean? You're like a therapist in a sense to make sure the sharp edges are smooth, and then off you go.
That's accurate.
Yeah,
I like being accurate.
Yeah.
And like I said, did you hear everything, Peter, about missing the huddle and not really knowing what's going on? I had to take a look at Melanie's website to make sure I at least knew what was going on. So
no. Actually, I was inside playing. I was inside playing Fidium, repair guy. Unplugging, plugging in, running around with routers up in the air. So,
oh my head.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, we're excited because we've been talking a little bit about. Well, I don't know what you two have been talking about. Catch me up.
We were talking about. Actually, where we stopped was the go-to-market stuff, the operations.
Oh, right on.
And scaling, and and then we brought Robert in. So I think in terms of like, what's a simple operating rule, that keeps your work clean. What would you say that is?
No group editing.
Oh.
Approval by committee?
Oh. No approval by committees allowed.
Oh, please.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, it's a life changer for us. We've been, when we go into these agreements with people, it's critical to just say, look, there's going to be one decision maker. Choose who it is, and that's it. That's it. We don't want to talk to everybody about it. You can talk to everybody about it. But when we get feedback for something, we want one person who can generally should probably be the person who signs the check or has the approval, weight behind them, and say, you decide what cuts through and what doesn't. So I love that. When you say things like, we were talking a little bit about, what was it here? Operations stuff. So I don't want to go too far off there. When you're working with a team, I would imagine you're working with a leader of a team. How do you cross over into that buy-in factor? Because when the rest of the team doesn't seem to sort of pick it up or go with it, it can be a problem. It's challenging. So what ways do you approach that so that a leader who is being counseled or getting advice and taking your recommendations as to what actions to take and how to perform, how do you get their team on board too?
That's a great question. And unfortunately, sometimes the team is just not on board, or part of the team is on board. And so what I've seen happen many times is a president or CEO or someone on the leadership team is super excited and pumped up, and they have very big, heavy goals, heavy targets, and they want everybody to be involved. But unfortunately, everybody doesn't want to be involved. And even though sometimes what has happened, where I've seen this happen, is where if someone is forced to do something that they don't want to do and they're not comfortable with it, because it's a very personal thing to put yourself out there, even if we don't think it's personal to talk about what you've learned and the lessons that have come up and why things are impactful for you, etc. Some people are just really uncomfortable with even hitting publish, writing anything. So when that happens, I mean, going into it, I've not had conversations prior, but usually I have a conversation with everyone when it comes to a team, so I can evaluate and understand if everyone really is on board, because there's certain tells and there's also certain things that people will say that I can ask them questions about, and I'll instantly know if they're in or if they're out. But early on, when I started working with teams at scale, I wasn't having those calls with the team first. I wasn't doing discovery calls with the team. I was doing discovery calls with the point of contact. But when you get into having multiple people, you also have multiple conversations. And if I'm a true advisor, I'm coming in as like, I'm coming into the team. I'm literally coming in to be a member of the team. I'm not just coming in as a vendor that you tell me what you're looking to do and I just wave my magic wand and it happens. It's impactful because we work together on it. But if people aren't in the right mindset and they're not synchronized in their brains and everyone's on the same page, you get into situations where you have group edits. And I laugh because I remember this one occasion where there was a group edit and it was a copy document for a month of short form social content. And there was like 27 edits by 4 different people. And it was so confusing because I'm like, whose is this? Is this person A or is this person B or is it C, D, E, or F? Like, whose document is this?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, how many people can have their hands on the steering wheel and still expect to get to the destination in one week, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I want to, I've been doing a lot of inner soul searching on positioning and that sort of a thing. And, for me, the bottom line is clarifying the way I approach the message or the way I explain or express or share my information with other people. What are your thoughts on a brand that, or a personal brand, if you will, that requires a lot of over explaining? Like I find that a lot of either people or brands, they tend to be like over explaining themselves a lot. And personally, I think that is, that's a detriment to their effectiveness. Where do you sit on that?
I think simple is better. I'm a very simple person. I've actually been accused of being too simple when it comes to messaging and positioning, because I think that the paralysis by analysis will really kill everything. And no matter what you say, even if you're writing an ad, I mean, you want the ad to be clear enough so someone sees the ad, they click on the ad and they make the purchase or they book the appointment, whatever the end goal is. But a lot of times when it comes to our organic content, they're overthinking because they might not necessarily feel confident in their abilities, at their point of view. They're nervous about how it might land. I mean, it really all comes down to, and I will fight someone on this if I have to, but I really think it comes down to fear of judgment and fear of doing the wrong thing, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of offending someone. It doesn't matter what you say. Not everyone's going to understand. You can write a post and say the sky is blue today and it's 45 degrees.
It's
and
not.
Right. And someone could say, no, well, it's not blue, actually. It's more of an aqua color and 45 degrees is freezing. And I'm sick of the winter. It just doesn't, and no matter what you say, everything is always open for interpretation. And I think one of the biggest mindset challenges that people have to get over is if you're going to put yourself out there, you have to be confident in who you are, in what you do, and just understand that there's always going to be somebody that's going to have an issue with it. And somebody shouldn't be you. You shouldn't have the issue with it.
What about if we played a quick round of C-level executive says this, and you tell us what the F does that mean in real speak? Because we see it all over the place. So if I said to you, I leverage cross-functional synergies to accelerate scalable growth. What does that mean?
Thank you for your word salad.
Word salad is right. Holy mackerel.
How do you get people out of that mindset of doing that?
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what that means. I mean, no one knows what that means. And that's the thing.
I think that's what they're banking on.
But I mean, especially for someone who's looking for employment, I think and I got into it with someone in the comments, or I should say that someone got into it with me in the comments over AI and the usage of it and your personal brand and what you're putting out there. If you're putting out generic things that is a word salad. No one has any idea what you're saying. Do you think that any algorithm is going to understand it either? So you need to focus on your industry and specific topics. You know, so it would be better to say, you know, who I am, right? So my name is Melanie Borden. I work with executives and executive teams, and I work with them on their expertise and turning that into measurable growth. I mean, that it doesn't even sound that great because I'm just kind of like going with the
riffing.
You're riffing on it.
You know what I'm saying? You want to make it very specific to your industry and to what you do, because no one will understand that otherwise.
I think you actually revealed more truth there, even just winging it. What you didn't say was, I help, etc. I help.
Right.
That's like saying I try to help. I do my best to make pretty pictures for brands that might enjoy them. You're really just hedging it, and I think the words "I help" it's weak, and everyone's scrambling right now to look at their own LinkedIn profile. Like, what the fuck did I say that? We've all been there. I've done it myself.
Yes.
I help. If I tell you out of the gate, I help brands like yours because you're broken and you're just broken. That's what it says to me.
Exactly. It's one of those things that, that I remember being mentored on. I remember being in a corporate job, and I was in with the general manager, and he said, when do you think you'll have this ready for me? And if I said, I hope to have it, he would say, stop. When are you committing to having it? I said, don't use that word hope. That's not, I don't want to hear that word again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking up and I'm looking at your headline, and I look at my own headline. I won't drag anyone else physically into this. But right off the bat, you're telling us what you do and what you fix, and that's the approach, at least that I've taken too, is that this is, it's not so much as about, I'm a brand strategy guru. That's nobody gives a fuck. Everybody is, right?
Right.
I tell you up front on my end, this is what I fix. This is what causes what it is. And this is how I fix it for whom, I think more people should really take a good hard look at their profile and think about, how you're coming across. I do have a big issue with help. Can we take a detour real quick?
Sure.
What was your Flea story?
Oh, my Flea story. Oh, when I was 12, I was at the San Diego Zoo, and I saw him there, and I was very excited to see him. I was 12 years old. Yes, I was very into music when I was younger, and the fact that I recognized him was amazing. But yeah, that's the story. That's it. It's just random. It's just a random fact.
I love that. Do you have any random celebrities you've ever stepped in cut in line on or anything like that?
No. The one that I always go back to is I was in Universal Studios for a tour. I was on a little tram ride, and Robert Duvall and John Lithgow came out of one of the studios, and they came right up to the tram and started talking to us, and it was so surreal that I was just like, what's going on?
I stepped on Lars Ulrich's foot once outside the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and he got all bent out of shape, and I told him to go fuck himself. And I was like a foot taller than he is, so like I'm not tall, so
yeah,
he was like
weird.
The size of like a 10-year-old boy. Yeah, I stepped on his foot. He was very upset. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Oh my God. We're going to get a call from the lawyers or something.
Good. That would be nice. It's been a long time since we've talked to them.
That's true.
Melanie, the book is out. The book came out in January, Theater of the Mind. Where can people find it? And who really benefits from it? Because I know I benefited from it right out of the gate, and I read through it pretty quick. It's a great read. I'm going back through it now with the fine tooth comb, trying to like just, let everything sort of sink in. I even sleep with it under my pillow so that the knowledge just seeps in.
Good.
Yeah.
And it marinates.
But tell us a little bit more about the what drove you to this,
Yes.
and what's it all about?
So Theater of the Mind is a book that I started writing after I started working with those who I work with now, which is generally executives, C-suites, executive teams, founders, those who are looking to make changes in their career at a senior level and they don't know where to start, is, I would say, the archetype or the avatar. I mean, I've got a few of them, but those are generally who I'm working with. And what I would see over and over again was this pattern of people who are very successful just completely freak out and freeze or have all of these doubts within themselves, who were incredibly successful. But when it came to putting themselves out there, not just on LinkedIn, but going on podcasts, doing, advertorials, any media, anything, it was like this complete out of body experience. And it was something that, I had worked in marketing for someone else previously. My last role was working as a VP of marketing. And when there was a CEO that I was working for, and I certainly wasn't his publicist, but I worked with his publicist. We had an agency in-house that I ran, and I experienced myself go through this when the pandemic happened, where I knew that I had to do something. I really did not want to be active online, but it was the one, North Star for me was LinkedIn, because I figured, how do I create an inbound machine for myself of opportunity in case I lose my job? And so the concept Theater of the Mind came from the time when I worked in automotive. And it was a phrase that I learned from the 1930s, where people used to sit around their radio and imagine the scene. And what I started seeing with my clients, flash forward to 2021, is that people would have these narratives going on in their heads that were just not true. They were false, and they were imagining things that weren't even real. And it was all triggered by having to put themselves out into the public eye. And, unless you grew up in media, and I said this earlier when you were gone, Peter, unless you grew up in media, or unless you have a 2000 in your birth year or 20, you're not necessarily going to have this comfort level with, or an ease of use, if you're not in marketing, and if you're not, that it was just born with it. And so what I have found is, even though, I would handle the company's marketing and my CEO, when it came to me initially doing it, it didn't feel great. I didn't love it. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't like people trolling me. But over time, I got over it. And I've just experienced this. And we say, like, at scale, I've experienced it with so many people that it just made the most sense to read the book. And I talk about different case studies in the book, or case stories of the people who I've worked with over the years and what they've experienced and the goals that they've had and why they do the things that they do. But what made the book so, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll say moving for me, or it was a major growth experience for me, which I pretty much am very direct in general, but I'm very direct in the introduction of my book, because I developed probably the worst case of imposter syndrome. And I didn't even think imposter syndrome was a thing until I wrote the book, because I started questioning everything, which was very ironic, and it was very timely, and it worked perfectly with the book, because I would meet so many people over the years that would experience the same thing when it came to their personal brand. So it's for someone who is a founder of a company, you're in senior leadership, you're looking to make a change, you want to be a creator, but you don't necessarily want to be a creator, which I am in that category. But I am a creator because I know it's something that I have to do if I want to grow my business. And, if you're on a team, an executive team, if you want to be on an executive team, if you want to make a pivot or a change in your industry, then that is the right book for you. And you can find it on Amazon. It comes in hardcover, Kindle, and also paperback. It was also syndicated out, but working on a couple things with that. And so it will be available everywhere again soon. But for now, the easiest, fastest way to find it is on Amazon.
Right on.
I'll share the link too. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we'll drop the link in the show notes here. I wanted to make sure that we get you back out to the slopes as soon as possible, because I think that is on the cards. And all of our, usually this is a very Rockefeller Place styled slick production. Today it was more like
it is.
I don't know. It was like an after school special today.
It was like Romper Room for a minute there.
Yeah, it might have even gotten worse. What was that show with the high school, the Something High? Remember that?
Oh, Saved by the Bell.
Not that. No, the other one that was even better. The one that had Taylor, what's her name?
I don't know.
Claire Danes. Taylor Danes.
Claire Danes.
What was that show?
Oh, I know which one.
Something High.
Someone, I can't think of the name of it. I know. What's his name? Was it Jared Taylor Thomas? Was that?
It was in and around that level. For sure. Last question for you.
I thought you were describing HR Puffin stuff. Does everybody remember?
Oh, I do. If you're looking for a good junk Netflix thing to watch that new thing about America's Next Top Model, that documentary. It's horrifying, terrifying, sad and bizarre and weird.
Yeah.
If LinkedIn was a house party, where do you think most executives are? Are they the loud guy in the middle of the room who's spilling his keg cup all over the place? Are they a wallflower? Where do you think most execs land these days on LinkedIn if it was a house party?
Well, what time of year is it? Is it the winter or is it the summer?
Well, let's go right in the middle. Let's say it's autumn.
It's autumn. Okay.
Could be in, could be out.
They might be sitting by the pool on a chaise lounge with a cocktail. The pool
hoping people will come talk to them.
Maybe. Or it depends. Or they could be, like dancing somewhere. But I would say probably on the chaise lounge.
Okay. I think the most important part for that guy or woman on the chaise lounge, which you nailed it. I love a good chaise lounge. A good chaise lounge, you'll find me there most of the time. Is that being a listener and speaking when you have something to say, which obviously I don't take my own advice. Melanie, this has been such a pleasure having you back. And I'm sorry it was a cluster F on the way in, but hey, we did get here. And I think we taught the kids something today,
I think so.
I think we did.
But did we teach them?
I think we did. So thank you for coming in.
Yes.
And thank you
so
everybody
much
for putting up with the technical issues that were going on.
Everything. Yes.
Please, don't leave your cigarette butts in the driveway. Take them with you. And we hope we'll see everybody. Not you, Melanie.
I don't know.
You don't smoke, for God's sakes.
Jeff,
Jeff's like a fucking pack and a half of Pall Malls a day.
Really?
No,
he does. Look at him.
I've never smoked.
My grandmother used to smoke 3 packs a day. And to this day, whenever I smell cigarettes and suntan lotion, I immediately think of like being a kid. Every time.
It brings you back,
you go,
right?
Nana.
Yeah.
My father, the kid's grandfather, they never met him. He's been dead for quite some time. It happens.
What were they
every
called?
time they're
Virginia
like,
Slims? Remember?
every time they're acting up, I yell, Grandpa! And they always like,
oh my
he's
God.
not here. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And I appreciate you. And I think everybody should go out and get that book immediately. Theater of the Mind. And if you don't know Melanie on LinkedIn, please fix that. If you'd like, I will help you fix it, but I won't. So thank you again. I hope you have so much fun out on the slopes.
Yes.
Protect your core.
I will. Thank you.
Drink plenty of water. Bring a sweater. Wear a hat. All of it.
Avoid
Okay.
Thank
trees.
you, Melanie.
all
And
that
thanks
stuff.
everybody for staying. We're going to get out of here now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Unbelievable. This is the wrap. There it is. It's going. It's
Oh.
going.